Coming up on this episode of High School Sports Weekly, brought to you by OS1 Sports Injury Clinic.
Yep, we're going to recap Week 9 of region action.
We're also going to catch up with coaches Freeman and Niblett. They've got a big matchup this week.
Another great Turner at Vestavia. It's Cole Turner. We'll introduce you to him.
All that and more coming up on High School Sports Weekly.
OS1 Sports Injury Clinic in Hoover is a proud partner of High School Sports Weekly. OS1 has fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians right here in your community. There's no appointment needed. Just drive up to the door. They've got X-ray and MRI on site. So now, being injured or having an orthopedic issue doesn't mean you need to be exposed to sick people. Avoid the hassle and time of going to an ER when you can get more specialized care in a more timely fashion at OS1. Open 7 days a week to serve you. It's OS1 Sports Injury Clinic. And find them online at bettersooner.com. Welcome, everybody. Along with Susan Carruthers, I'm Chris Stewart. So glad to have you with us for another week of our show and getting to the end of the regular season. Hard to believe for high school
football. It's certainly hard to believe, yes, but we're almost there.
Almost there. We need to look back at Week 9, though. We'll check out Week 10 schedule coming up in just a bit. But in Week 9, Hoover, a big win as usual. They defeated Tuscaloosa County 48-21.
Yeah, a lot of big wins this week. This one was a game up until halftime, but the Bucks ground game, they were given most of the credit. They were led by Jalen Taylor, who rushed for 117 yards on 7 carries with 2 touchdowns.
Hoover able to stay focused on County High and not look ahead to their next game, which is against Thompson. And again, we'll preview that a bit later, but the same can be said for the Warriors. They stayed focused and beat a good Oak Mountain team 49-21.
That's right, another big win there. Once again, somewhat of a game until halftime, but Thompson again able to just power through and win that game big. Thompson just can stay better longer than all their opponents. No surprise, another big win for the number 1 team in the state.
Hewitt-Trussville, another win as well. They defeated Gadsden City 48-12.
That's right. Armani Goodwin, Hewitt-Trussville's all-time leading rusher. He surpassed 3,000 yards in that game, and I believe that win also clinched Hewitt-Trussville a playoff spot.
Another tough week for Spain Park as the Jags fall to Vestavia Hills. The final in that one, 32-7. The Rebels getting a big victory.
Yeah, Coach Buddy Anderson said that they needed to control the clock in order to win that game, and in fact, they did just that. Vestavia with the ball for 28 minutes as opposed to Spain Park at just 20 minutes. Vestavia had 408 total yards of offense, and all good news for Vestavia. All right, Chris, some other big news this week. The roster came out for the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, and there's a few guys on there worth mentioning from 7A Region 3. We've got Armani Goodwin from Hewitt-Trussville, J.B. Mitchell from Thompson, Roderick Orr from Gadsden City, Carter Short from Hoover, and then also Drake Tabor from Spain Park. So some good representation there.
No question. This is, again, we say it all the time, but one of the best regions in the state. Top classification. Not surprising that you'd have that many representatives from our area and from our region take part in such an important game.
That's right. Congratulations to all these guys.
It's been 4 years since we said goodbye to NFL great Kevin Turner. KT brought awareness to the dangers of football, but never blamed the game he loved for his battle with ALS. His son Nolan is now playing for Turner's friend Dabo Sweeney at Clemson, and as Donette Logan tells us, now his youngest son Cole is making a name for himself at Vestavia Hills.
He was just 12 years old when he said goodbye to his father. Cole Turner is the youngest of Kevin Turner's 3 children. And even though his time with his father was cut short, he still learned a valuable lesson from him.
He taught me how to be a man, really.
Kevin Turner was a fullback for the Alabama Crimson Tide before going on to play 8 seasons in the NFL. Then one day things started to change. Kevin began to notice changes in the way he moved and went to the doctor. In 2010, Kevin was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. It's believed the number of hits Turner took on the field was a large factor in his diagnosis. After his father's death, Cole decided to take a break from football.
What they had to go through with the struggles, their dad's struggles, and they struggled through it. Nolan struggled, Cole struggled, and it's just life that they'll have to learn some things early on in their life that most people don't have to go through.
I took some time to think about what I wanted to do, and then junior year I decided I wanted to come back and play.
During that time off, Cole focused on basketball and watched his brother Nolan become a standout on the field at Vestavia and go on to play for his dad's best friend and college teammate, Dabo Sweeney, at Clemson. Now that he's back in the game, the fear of seeing the impact football had on his dad happen to him is not a concern Cole has.
It's definitely safer than it used to be, and taking more precautions now with concussions and stuff. It's more serious now, so I think it's definitely a lot safer.
Some will say the sport is safer now due to Cole's father's fight to bring awareness to the possible connection between the hits in the game and ALS. Some feel it's being made safer every day thanks to the Kevin Turner Foundation. Whatever KT's contributions were to making the sport safer, to Cole he was just dad, someone who left a lasting memory on his son.
I remember one time he took me to a Saints game. We got to stay on the sideline. I thought that was really special.
How old were you when that happened?
I was really young, probably 6 probably.
As for life after Vestavia Hills High School, Cole isn't really sure what's ahead for him. The one thing he says he does know, he wants to play football in college just like his dad and his brother Nolan. Donette Logan, High School Sports Weekly.
It's great to see Cole doing so well and also carrying on his father's legacy.
That's right. Now we'll pivot to the big matchup this Friday night between powerhouses Hoover and Thompson. I know you and I got a chance to talk to Coach Niblett and Coach Freeman, two coaches that have a lot in common on and off the field.
We're going to share those stories, preview the matchup, and also have our weekly feature on NSR when we come back. OS1 Sports Injury Clinic in Hoover is a proud partner of High School Sports Weekly. OS1 has fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians right here in your community. There's no appointment needed. Just drive up to the door. They've got X-ray and MRI on site. So now, being injured or having an orthopedic issue doesn't mean you need to be exposed to sick people. Avoid the hassle and time of going to an ER when you can get more specialized care in a more timely fashion at OS1. Open 7 days a week to serve you. It's OS1 Sports Injury Clinic, and find them online at bettersooner.com.
Hey everybody, my name is Rachel Brown, and this is the National Scouting Report Recruiting Roundtable. Last week, we talked about the 4 different stages of the recruiting process, and I had mentioned camps and showcases in a few of those stages, so today I really want to focus on camps and how important they are. Going to camps as a young athlete is a really fun experience. You get to go and get instruction from college coaches and even take pictures with some of your favorite college players. But as you get older, camps become more serious, and you need to ask yourself, am I going to this camp as a camper or a recruit? Going to a camp as a camper means you're going in hopes of being identified. Going to a camp as a recruit means you're going to be evaluated and potentially offered by that college coach. We get the question a lot, are camps important? And the answer is yes. Going to camp is very important, but how you're viewed at that camp is even more important. Are you being viewed as a camper or a recruit? As we come up on the end of the year, it's camp season for a lot of different sports. So if you have questions about what camps you should be attending or camps that you plan on attending, please reach out. We can get someone in contact with you that's in your specific sport who can answer any questions you have. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you next time.
Thanks to NSR for another great recruiting segment. Now, Chris, we look ahead to Friday night.
Yeah.
Huge matchup on the field this week.
A lot of recruits on the field for Thompson and Hoover. Not only is it the 7A Region 3 championship, it's going to have an opportunity to have some home field advantage as you move into the playoffs. A lot riding on this one. 2 really talented teams. Not only the top 2 teams in the state in Class 7A, but they've got national rankings as well. a big reason why, the great talent, but also very good head coaches on both sides.
That's right, and we'll get to talk to both of those in just a minute. But let me tell you, since seating is limited because of COVID, there's
Right.
lots of ways that you at home can watch the game. Both Thompson and Hoover, check out their websites. They've got ways you can watch. Chris, you got the call on My 68,
That's
so
right.
people can tune in that way. Also, NFHS Network is going to be carrying the game, so lots of ways that people can watch, even
That's
though
right.
they might not be able to attend.
And it's a shame that you can't have a packed house because they'd be hanging from the light poles
They sure
at
would
a
be.
game like this. But again, the schools with their broadcast, as they normally do, Tyler Watson, I'll have the call on My 68 as well, will be a lot of fun. And again, it was fun for you and I to have a chance to talk to those coaches this week.
That's right. So we'll start first with your conversation with Coach Mark Freeman at Thompson.
How much fun is a week like this?
It's great fun. It's you don't have to worry about the kids being ready to play the game, and this rivalry has always been a good, hard-fought, clean. Both teams usually at the end of the night will pray together. This year will be different because of the COVID, but it's just a good series, and the last couple of years we've had really good games with them, and I expect to have a good game this Friday.
Where's that fine line of making sure your guys are sharp and prepared and not too tight and too prepared, if there is such a thing?
I think in the way we present every region game, every game has a value to it, and this game has the same value as last year when we played them week 3. It's a region game that you want to win. You want to keep yourself in great position in the region, and we approach every Friday night, not even out of disrespect to nobody, but all we worry about is ourselves. And whoever we play, they'll be at the game. We prepare for that team all week, but what we're concerned with, if we can do the things that we try to do to our best. And if we do it enough to our best, then we've got a chance to win most every game.
You got a long way to go to the finish line, I understand that. But when you come into a season like this, coming off of the championship of a year ago, you've got spots you've got to fill. You had a lot back, but you got spots you got to fill. How satisfying is it to see your guys develop and put themselves in a spot where they can play for what they're going to play for Friday?
Well, it's very rewarding. In a normal off season, what they endure to get there is tremendous. 6 a.m. workouts, a lot of time is there, and I felt like coming in, we lost that edge on people because, not that other people don't do it, but we really stretch. We get about 9 workouts a week in the off season. We get 4 mornings a week and every afternoon. So we lost all that, and so it kind of, as a coach, you feel like, well, everybody's going in equal this year. Well, we felt like we had some momentum or something going in that we'd got ourselves there. So we had a new quarterback. Our offense is quarterback driven, and so Connor really needed that off season. We needed a lot of 707 this summer. We didn't get it, but the good Lord's got a way of getting everything right, and he's worked hard. Connor's worked hard. That was the key. Could Connor pick up all of our stuff? And we've been able to add a little bit each week to him. A couple of young guys on defense have really come along and played well. We've had some key injuries. We've lost some kids, for many, many weeks, and we've had people in those positions step up too. So it's very rewarding, Chris, and to see a guy that has stepped in and doing great things. That's why we do it, and our kids love each other. They're the best bunch I've ever had as far as everybody seems to be pulling for each other.
Every year is different. Every team is different. Every program's different. But you are now the hunted. And you and I talked about this in the preseason. Playing Hoover, which hasn't won it all in a couple of years, which is a drought for them, against you, who won it last year. How different, if any, is that for your guys? Or is that part of the challenge to make sure that none of that really creeps into their head?
Well, that goes back to how we start everything. Last year was gone. We won that game tonight, and we celebrated for a time, and we talked about it. This is a whole new season, and I know in our minds that last year at this point, it don't enter our minds. The only thing that enters our mind, and we openly talk about this, I believe in this to our kids, if they've got good sense, which they do, we're aware that there's a state championship down the road. We talked about this. I think young people they need to remember that vision and that dream of somebody's going to lift that trophy. And we've got to do everything in our power to play the best we can. If we play the best we can, we've got a chance to lift that trophy. And if we play the best we can and somebody's better than us, then you can live with that. But what you don't want to live with is not giving your best effort and having to look back and say, man, we could have done this, which we don't allow that here. There's no we could have. It's either we're going to do it or we're not. And so I think that this year stands on its own. I think the way our coaches prepare our kids each week, I think those weeks will come, and I think our kids will be prepared for whoever we draw that first round. Then you play it the second round, third round, fourth round. And so I think our coaches do a great job all the way back in February, March, April, talking about this year and being in the present. Being a champion today, because if you don't do that, you don't have a chance to be a champion down the road.
I've seen them 3 times this year. It looks like Hoover.
Yeah.
But what concerns you the most going into this?
They're different on offense this year. Tad's back. They throw the ball a lot more. Right. In the past, they had a different offensive philosophy than they do now, and they're good at what they do on offense. They're still really fast on defense. They play a lot of different fronts that, not necessarily the way they line up, the way they slant, they move their fronts, and they run to the ball real good. They're well coached. So it's a typical Hoover team. Those kids over there, they know what it takes to be a Hoover football player, and we're just getting here where our kids understand now what it takes to be a Thompson football player. So, you see it every week. It's going to be 2 good teams going at it. It's going to be getting off field on third down, turnovers, and it'll shake out like that.
Last thing, when you and I talked preseason, we talked about your background a little bit. This one's kind of cool to me. You're a Bessemer Academy guy. He's a Coosa Valley guy. Yeah. Y'all are coaching at 2 of the biggest high schools in the state of Alabama, but you came from 2 small school programs that produced 2 of you. You guys have a very similar faith. It's really unique, isn't it? The match, people that like to look at the head coaching matchups, the relationship there is very similar, isn't it?
Yeah, I think about that a lot, Chris, and the thing that I'm happy about when we do play Hoover is I know that they're a faith-driven team. I know that we're a faith-driven team, and if it comes down that one of us are there, you feel like God's going to get glory for whatever goes on. And to me, that's the important thing. And I know we respect their program. They've been good up here a long time. And so when we want to beat them, it's not out of hate or anything. It's out of respect for their program. We're just trying to climb and build our program too. But, it is a little different knowing where we've come from. And we are really blessed to be at 2 great programs. And I do feel like, that God is He's not unhappy with us. So, if you can walk in that favor and there's a lot of good coaches in our region, don't get me wrong, but Josh is pretty open about his faith and we're pretty open about our faith here. And so, I enjoy playing them because it's a challenge. You got to play your best to beat them. If you beat them, you can feel like you've accomplished something.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for being with us today. Everybody wants to be in a position to win a championship, so how much fun is it to be in this position this week?
Well, and the thing about it is we've kind of been in this position for a while. What you don't want to do is take it for granted. So, the past 20 years we've been pretty blessed around here to play for championships and have that opportunity. And so, we just talk daily to our kids about making sure they don't take it for granted, but it's exciting. We're looking forward to it. It's a chance for a region championship, but also at the same time continue to play at a high level.
That's right. And how much more rewarding is it this year given all the challenges that everyone's faced?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. What these seniors have been through, what these underclassmen have been through to get to this point, to be 9-0 and play for a region championship, and not to know, 3 or 4 months ago whether we were really going to get to play football or how long the season would be or the, just the makeup of it. So, yeah, I can't say enough. We're blessed to be able to be in this position.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me a little bit about how your team's improved since the beginning of the season.
Well, I just think it's been everything from brotherly affection for each other, just unity. Trusting each other, depending on each other, because there for a while, there was a couple of months where we weren't around each other, so you don't get to work on that mindset that you really want where you see each other every day. Then in the summer, I thought we built on that. I thought, our kids have done a really good job, defensively. I think we've done a really good job running to the football, getting takeaways, and then getting stops. Offensively, we've done a really good job being able to run the football here of late, and we got to be able to continue to do that. And then on special teams, just being consistent. I think our return game's getting better, and we're getting better on our coverages, so we got to continue that improvement.
Absolutely, and you've got a lot of depth on every side of the ball, and specifically, I think you've used 4 running backs this year. How unusual is that type of depth at this level?
Well, here we try to do a really good job trying to develop our players. So, we've always had a couple of young running backs that we always tried to get reps when they're varsity to develop them. So if we get to a point in the season where younger guys are playing, or they've got it's always next man up mentality here. So I think you're always trying to develop kids from January all the way till now, so you don't put yourself in a situation, because like I tell people all the time, like, depth for us here is what we call supplementation. It's not substitutes. So supplementation means we're going to add to what we're doing, not take away from it. Whereas when we substitute, that's just a guy standing in, and now we got to change what we're doing. So we're just trying to create depth every day.
Okay, and your defense has faced a lot of different looks this season. What specifically does Thompson's offense bring this week?
Well, just a lot of explosive, great athletes that can run, and they got a quarterback that can spin it, and I think their quarterback and receivers are on the same page. I think their O-line understands what they're doing, and their running backs run hard. So, their 11 are really good players, and they do a really good job. You could tell they have a lot of good chemistry between them. And then, you've got to do a good job of not giving up explosive plays and not busting coverages. They've got a lot of explosive plays where you have busted coverages, but you still got to find the open guy, and their guy does a really good job of finding the open guy, and their receivers trust him, and he trusts them, and they've done a good job of protecting him. I think the thing that makes their quarterback so special is not only can he make all the throws, but he's really good with his legs too, and he's a dual threat guy. So we got to do a good job of keeping him in the pocket.
So in your mind, what's the number one thing that y'all need to be successful in order to win?
Well, we just got to keep the ball in front defensively. That's the number one thing. We got to be good on first down. I think if we're good on first down, we can put them in some 3rd and longs and keep ourselves out of 3rd and longs. Then we allow ourselves to be successful and be able to move the sticks, and then keep them behind the chains. So, in big games like this, it comes down to special teams. It comes down to penalties, and it comes down to, I think, explosive plays and takeaways and turnovers. And we got to win the turnover margin.
Okay, well, as long as you've been at Hoover, your team's either won or been in contention for a championship. So what do you think it's taken? What's your recipe for success?
No, I just think, God's blessed me tremendously. I just wake up every day, try to give a better version of myself. I haven't been here 13 years. I've been here 1 year 13 times. And so when I wake up in the morning, I'm trying to find ways to help our kids get better. It's the same message. I just try to deliver it a little bit different, because every makeup's a little bit different. But I think we have to have a standard. And that standard can't change, and that's what builds our culture. And then if we don't follow the standard, there's consequences, and so whether that's in life or whether that's in football, or that's when these guys grow up and they're husbands and fathers one day, and and it's about believing in what we're doing here, trusting in what we're doing, and we want to learn it, we want to protect it, and then we want to live it.
Good. And you and Coach Freeman have a lot in common as far as your backgrounds and your faith and some of the ways you run your team. Is that something you think about when you face him on Friday night?
No, I don't really think about it. I got the utmost respect for him, and and what he does, and how he lives his life, and have a lot of respect for him and his faith, and I know he's strong in his faith. But when the week starts, it's just trying to be locked in on what we're doing. But I do have a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect what he's been able to do as far as coaching go, and the impact he's made on people's lives.
Good. Well, thanks so much. Good luck on Friday.
Thank you. God bless you, and go Bucks.
Thank you.
So again, that's the showdown of the week, not only within our area, not only within the region, but also around the country. There's not a better matchup anywhere. Hoover and Thompson going from Thompson High School on Friday night. Also, some key games taking place within the region as well. Hewitt-Trussville and Oak Mountain, those are the teams that are going to finish either 3rd or 4th, depending on the outcome of that particular ball game.
That's right. So really intense. I think you could feel the intensity in those coaches' interviews. It's really getting down to the wire, and the playoffs are coming. It
is indeed. Other 2 region games don't factor into the playoffs. They've already been eliminated. But Vestavia will be at Gadsden City, and Tuscaloosa County will host Spain Park.
Yeah. So once again, another exciting week for high school sports.
Very exciting indeed. And again, can't believe we have gotten to where we're at the final week of region play, but the next to last week of games for the regular season entirely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us this week on High School Sports Weekly, brought to you by OS1 Sports Injury Clinic. We'll see you next week.